them, you know, a couple of positions.
Oh, they
Sit on
already,
the committee.
they both learned how to say aye.
Two alternates.
Hey, old man.
120.
I know.
We got the mayor confused, don't we? Hear that?
There she go.
Always better to keep them thinking down.
Hey,
How are you?
Hey, Agatha. Beautiful. How you doing? Pretty good, pretty good.
Your timing is impeccable. I'm just about to start a city council meeting.
And you're beautiful, you're the best.
Yeah, because that way you can turn off your, that way you can turn off your hearing aids too, so I can hear you. Oh, I can. Okay.
Oh, they fast. That's the best audience you can have, the best. I love that audience.
Keep your knees, Mayor.
Okay, it's 5:30, so we're going to open our Building and Code Safety Committee meeting for February the 20th. First on our agenda is public comments. Seeing none, we'll go on to roll call.
Malone Marshall.
Present.
Lewis, here. Beer.
Here.
Tally.
Here.
Marzak.
Present.
Cobbs.
Here.
Noble. We have a quorum, with 6 present.
Moving on to our next agenda item, approval of the minutes for January 16th, 2025.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Alderman Marzak,
I'll be happy to make a second on that.
Alderman Tully with a second. Roll call, please.
Malone Marshall.
Aye.
Lewis. Aye. Barron.
Aye.
Tally.
Aye.
Marzak.
Aye.
Cobbs.
Aye.
Do we have any questions, concerns, or changes for the minutes for January the 16th? Seeing none, we'll go on to our next agenda items, the approval of the bills for the month of January in the amount of $647.81.
I'll make that motion.
Alderwoman Lewis with the motion,
I'll second it, Chair.
and a second with Alderman Cobbs.
Yes.
Roll call.
Malone Marshall.
Aye.
Lewis. Aye. Barron.
Aye.
Tally.
Aye.
Marzak.
Aye.
And Cobbs.
Aye.
Bills approved.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have our director's report. Director Nelson, do you have anything that you want to speak on the director's report?
No.
Can you bring your mic down?
No.
Okay, thank you. We have the animal control bill for the month of January in the amount of $890. Okay. Then we have our permits report. We have 5 pages of permits. A total of 58 permits in the amount of $14,885.33. We also have our adjudication report, 10 pages, and this is definitely for our purpose of, it's 10 pages of that, so we can be aware of what things are going on in our wards. Any comments or questions, concerns for the director's report? Okay. Okay, next on our agenda is old business and the animal control contract. At this time, I'll turn you over to Director Nelson.
So I gave you a copy of the animal control contract for the last meeting to go over. I asked for a couple questions that you wanted me to ask about. What are the extra benefits of having the contract? Will animal control bill the owner of the animals? What is the fee schedule for animal pickup? And how do they charge the animal owner? So I talked to the mayor about it, and mayor got someone from the county to kind of talk over some of the questions that you have.
Okay, if we could just do the questions one by one, and we have Carrie Laird here from Animal Control. We welcome you, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And, let's see, do you have a mic by you?
I do, yes.
Okay, yeah, just pull it down so that, when you answer the questions, then we'll be able to hear the answers. Mayor, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, we invited Director Laird here, who's in charge of the animal control for the Kankakee County, to be here to answer any of your questions. The only thing I brought it for, and I think she'll go over it here, the biggest thing I'll just make comments on is, right now, we're probably in the range of somewhere, depending on a year, somewhere in the range of $23,000 to $25,000 that we're paying Kankakee County right now for animal control pickup. The biggest thing that we're looking to accomplish here, and I'll let her get into all the details, is right now, if there's, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but right now, if a resident calls about a loose dog or something that needs animal control, they have to either get a hold of the code department or the police department, and then the code department or the police department has to make a call to animal control, and then animal control has to come out and handle it. Where this would eliminate that whole process of going through all that. The residents would be able to call animal control directly, I believe.
Correct.
And it would be just bypass the whole system itself. I think it would be helpful is if you have a loose dog, as you know, I'm just going to use a dog as an example, they don't exactly stay in one spot for a long period of time. And so a lot of times, by the time you make the calls come back and everything, by the time animal controls, it could be 30 minutes and that dog could be 10 blocks away by then, and you're not sure where it's at, or you're not sticking around.
If I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
you're charged either way, whether the animal is found or not. So if we are called and the animal is not found, we still charge for our services. So if it's a timely response on our part, we're likely to respond quicker and maybe catch the animal sooner, and that way the money is not a loss, I guess you could say, for our services.
So that was, I just want to I think it does make some sense. There is an additional added cost to the city for this. It'll cost us about $10,000 more a year, but I think the efficiency and the flow of it would work better for the residents, and I know it would work better for code, police, and 911. But I'll turn it over to Ms. Laird, because she knows all these answers a lot better than I do, so.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Laird, I was just wondering, like, we have the animal control report that our director gives to us monthly. Would you still be providing us with a report like this?
Absolutely, we do that for other contracted villages, municipalities as well. That way, you can charge the citizens if we know the owner of the animal. You can recoup some fees that way. Bourbonnais and Mantino are doing that as well. Anytime we have an owner, we send it on to the village or the municipality, just because that way you can write citations and somehow collect the fees you're charging us. It can go back to the owner, and that they're responsible and maybe less likely to let their dog or their animal run loose.
Thank you. Okay, Director Nelson, you want to go ahead and address the questions that we had for Director Laird.
What are the extra benefits of, well, Mayor kind of explained that, of having a contract? No
Well,
need
let
for-
her, can we have her to explain why she think it
Oh, yeah.
is good?
Yeah,
for us?
I had responded to that question, which was Mayor Curtis to answer as well. It's the same reasons why it would be a quicker response time for us. It would also have your police respond to things that may require police attention rather than animal calls. I know a lot of police officers don't want to like spending a lot of time with animal calls, I'm sorry. They're not equipped for that. They're not paid for that type of job, whereas animal control officers are. That's what they're equipped for, that's what they're taught to do, and that's how they respond to them accordingly. So that's something else. I know another way that the other villages recoup fees not recoup fees, but save money on village costs is because when they do their own welfare checks, if it's unfounded, then we don't have to respond to that. But if an officer determines animal control is needed, then we can respond to that as well. So if they do their own welfare checks like Bourbon and Mantino do, that's something that will cut down on costs as well for you guys, and that won't be charged the contract.
Thank you.
Will animal control bill the owner of the animal?
So anytime an animal is reclaimed, the owner is responsible for charges. And again, that's to have the owner have some skin in the game, and so to say, so they're responsible to not let that animal out again, and that way the owner realizes what cost us $200 to get the animal back last time. We're going to keep our fence locked, and we're going to keep an eye on our dogs and things like that. So we do charge fees, and those fees are to house the animal for medications, for vaccines, and to take care of the animal at our building.
Can I add something?
Alderman.
When you speak about.
Can you talk to the mic?
Thank you so much. When you speak about the fees, so the owner is charged a fee, basically a fine.
Correct.
And then is that additional fee for housing and food?
There is. So if an owner comes forward, we don't charge the village for board. We charge the village for an impound fee initially, or the municipality, I'm sorry, but we don't charge them for board or anything like that. If we euthanize, then we do charge the village or the municipality if we don't have an owner. If an owner comes forward, the municipality is not charged for those things. They're only charged for their initial impound. And that's to use our services to impound that animal. And then the owner's charge for impound, and that is to, basically to feed and house that animal.
So a typical fee, so it's just want to be clear.
Sure.
So there'll be an impound fee. Paid
Correct.
for by the owner.
Correct.
And then boarding would be paid for by whom?
By the owner if an owner comes forward.
Okay.
All these fees are, on an average day, an animal's gonna cost $215 if they're not current, they're not microchipped, and it's a regular impound. That's for impound, no fee, no vaccination, microchipping, and board.
So what makes the decision, well, how does the city fee, where does the city fee come in at?
If there is no owner for that animal.
So this breakdown here is, are you saying, this is what we paid $890 the past month, correct me if I'm wrong, or correct? I'm reading.
I don't have a copy of that, but
And
Well,
so-
hold on, can you please hold on for one moment so she can have a copy of what we're looking at?
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
So-
Can I finish my question?
Yeah.
Thank you, I'm just trying to understand.
Sure.
So, in other words, this bill are fees for animals that weren't collected, right?
Some of them were. So if you look at the bill, the incident number 26678,
Wait a minute, you're going too fast.
that's the second one down, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
That, you got charged $100 for an after-hour call. That was for animal control to come out.
The city got charged $100 for animal control.
Yes, it was an after-hours call.
And
and-
so you're familiar with 26678?
I'm just looking at it. It just shows the after-hours owner surrender. So that's what those mean. After-hours call, we were called out after hours, and the owner ended up actually surrendering the animal. So the owner is Marquise Boyd. So you and then could turn around and ask us how we got the animal, if he was running at large, and then the officers or code, whoever could write a citation to the owner for running at large or not being current, those things like that. And then they could go through their fees and fines, and the owner could be charged. That way you could recoup fees of the $100 that was paid to animal control.
So the owner was, did you say the owner was charged $100 as well?
The owner was not charged $100. The owner was probably charged the owner surrender fee. I don't have what the owner was charged on this fee. I don't know. I'd have to look at my computer to see what the owner was charged. These are only charges that you were,
I'm not, I get it,
okay.
but I'm trying to see, hey, look, I don't have a problem with a profit, but it just seems like we're paying the same thing, and then you mentioned we're paying for a certain amount, and I mean, I'm calling to my not understanding here. We're paying a certain amount, you're charging the owner for the same thing, and plus impound fees. And that's what it sounds like, and I'm not making any accusations, I'm trying to get an understanding.
Yeah, so the money that you're charged is for services that we provide to the city. And the impound fees are for our services provided to the animal.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, thank you.
Let him finish his, but please hold your question because we want it.
My question's been answered, thank you.
Did they answer the question? The services that we provide are after-hours calls, or those calls, $50 per call, or $100 after-hours, and then board. Those are charged to the municipality if no owner comes forward, board and things like that are. But the other fees are charged to the owner for the care of the animal and to get the animal current, and fees and fines, which you in turn can charge some of those fees and fines as well when you know an owner has come forward. And not we want to fine these owners to every little piece, but it holds them responsible and hopefully keeps our animals indoors, and we don't need those services any longer.
Okay, Alderwoman Lewis,
All right, Ms. Laird.
can you pull your mic over?
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Laird, I'm curious, on the same ticket, 26678.
Yes.
Being that there is an owner, why do the owner get the option to relinquish the pet and the fee? Not to relinquish, but get to relinquish, he doesn't get charged the after-hours fine, and he's an owner because he relinquished it?
We still can charge them the fines and fees. Sometimes we don't if the owner surrender, only because if we write a citation, sometimes the judge dismisses those citations knowing that the animal is held in our facility and it's no longer running at large. So we do charge owners sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, depending on the situation. I don't know why this animal was owner surrendered to us, I'd have to look at it, but sometimes they are charged, or sometimes we write a citation for failure to pay, and we don't recoup those fees ever because they don't come back and pay us.
Well, that's what I was going to, that's why I don't understand why that fine still shouldn't be to them instead of the city, being that there is an actual owner. I understand if there isn't one, but it doesn't seem proper that since the owner chooses, well, I don't want the pet anymore, he's still not responsible for those fees.
They still can be, and he may still be responsible for those fees and fines. I don't have in front of me what the situation was, but we still can charge them for after-hours calls.
But I'm guessing that he wasn't because we're being charged. So then that's where it brings into what Alderman Cobb's is.
So you're being charged because you use our services to come get that animal after hours.
Okay, so that's what my next question was. What's the difference between, I understand the pickup fee, the impound.
That's for,
I thought the impound was for the animal owners. Unless there is no owner, then the city get the impound fee. But if there is an owner, the city doesn't get the impound fee, correct?
I do believe that is correct. I'd have to look. I don't do all the billing on our end. I'd have to look and see, but I'm not quite sure. On this Marquise board, it looks like you did get an impound fee, or sorry, did get an after-hours call. You don't ever charge an impound fee. We're not charging impound fee. We're charging board and,
Well, board, that's what I was, that.
board, yeah, you will not be charged if there's an owner. So you will only charge $100 for the call. That was $100. That was an after-hours call, I can tell you that much. That's how much a fee is for after-hours call. And you were charged nothing beyond that because an owner came forward. So this next one underneath Paul Alexander, the 26679, we knew there was an owner. He did not come forward, and so we were charged an after-hour call and then 7 days of board.
So
Because there was an owner.
we're charged the 7 days of board,
Because the owner did not come forward.
but you know the owner.
We do know the owner, and we can charge that owner with abandonment, which is a misdemeanor.
So I guess that's what I'm saying. With there being an owner, we're still being charged that 7-day boarding fee, and that should be a fee to the owner instead of the city because we have identified an owner.
I understand what you're saying, but we can't charge the owner when the owner has not come forward. That's the last known owner that we have. We cannot charge them that, we cannot give them that fee. So,
it falls on the municipality. So like Bourbonnais and Mantino, correct me if I'm wrong, when they find out an owner, they charge, their code department goes and charges the owner with a fee, and if they don't pay it, then they bring them into adjudication court before dawn, like you would of any other rental license.
Well, I guess that's my.
So like if an owner, like that 170, if we wanted to, once we know an owner, and I believe this is what Bourbonnais and Mantino does,
Bourbonnais does.
they would go and serve a ticket to the owner. The owner would have to then pay the fine, no different than not cutting your grass or not painting your house. If they don't do it, then they get served with an adjudication court, and they come here into this chamber, and the judge makes a ruling of, you owe a fine, and they either get their name liened at all, but that falls on the municipalities, if we wanted to collect that back from that particular owner. So it's up to us whether we want to go down that path or not.
I think that's
Chairman?
the biggest.
Chairwoman?
Okay, one moment, please. All right. Alderman Tully.
I just want to interject some thoughts here while we're doing this roundtable discussion anyway. So we have here an example of a monthly bill that the code department gets from the county for these services. And as Mayor just alluded to, it could be within our purview to pursue the owners of the animals to recoup some of this money, if we know who the owner is. That being said, my thought here is we're looking at an intergovernmental agreement tonight, and basically, I'm not sure what all we're getting more than we were before, but I'm assuming that for if we were to enter into this agreement at $35,000, we would not get a monthly, we would get a statement of what they've done, but we wouldn't get a monthly bill then from the county for their services.
If I may, we do with the Village of Bourbonnais currently, we have a credit on their account, and then we just eat away at that credit. So
Okay,
you would
that's
show
fine.
what has been done each month. So we
That's fine.
would,
I
yes.
appreciate that input, but at our last meeting, if you'll recall, and I was not the only one that asked for it, we asked for like a two-year review of how much we've paid
Right.
to the county. Now, I did a little ciphering sitting here on my phone, and I took out the first one from the item and the last one, so I've got two 12-month periods in here, wherein we've only spent $19,000, a little over $19,000 each year, running to basically $1,600 a month in fees. I don't see what we're getting extra for $35,000.
And I would just suggest, and this is just a suggestion, if you look at the police calls, the number of animal calls that they handle as well, I would look at them and see what their call volume is for animals, just to see what we can take off their burden. If we can help them, and they can deal with police matters rather than animal matters, that's something to look at as well, to see how many animal calls they deal with daily or monthly that animal control could absorb. Just a suggestion, that might be something to look into as well. And maybe the police officers don't mind taking it, or the chief doesn't mind taking those calls on, which is fine, and we can, maybe look at the contract differently, but that was my thought, is that we're going to be called more because the police officers handle animal calls right now, which this contract would not need their services for unless it was a situation where we felt that we needed police presence.
Thank you.
Still a huge jump.
Thank you, Alderman Tully.
Yes and no.
And
I would
we-
debate that, because the police do handle lots of calls. There was one just 3 weeks ago, we had a dog that was on the front porch of City Hall, and we had to have police, it took police about 30 minutes to get out for it, because they had other calls going on, and they had to come out. It took 2 officers, because it was a huge dog, to lift it, transport it to Bourbonnais, to their facility, and take that all out. So that was about an hour of, I'll call it one police officer being down and handling it that night.
Right.
So,
And I was on a call today on South Poplar, where 3 police officers were there because there was 17 dogs running loose in the residence. So that's another thing. I brought all 4 of our officers there, and there was 3 squad cars that were there the entire time, making sure that we were safe in that sense, and that we knew who those animals belonged to. We've since figured that out, but that was, an hour of 3 police officers' times when could have spent patrolling the area or something else.
So you're saying today, if we had a contract with you, then our officers wouldn't have had to help you with those 17 dogs?
Not unless it was requested, no. It's nice that they stand by and assist, but unless it was requested, we do not use a police presence unless we absolutely feel like it's something that we need to do.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Lewis?
So Mayor, with our citizens used to being calling the police anyway. So if the police are called after a contract is entered by a citizen about a dog after hours, what will be the process? Will the police still go out, or will they tell the constituents to contact animal control? Because if the police are called, they're going to respond to a call anyway.
Can I answer, can I just say, it would probably depend on the call, and they could always refer it to dispatch, and our officers are dispatched after hours. So our officers are always on call 24 hours a day. Our emergency hours are dictated on, or sorry, emergency guidelines are dictated for what we will and won't go out for, and we can get you those as well. But, I don't know if Mayor Curtis wants to interject on this, but it would depend on the situation. If it was dog fighting, we would of course need police presence. If it was a dog that was running at large that was captured, that was, contained, we wouldn't need police presence unless it was
Let's just say
suggested.
on that same situation today, if 17 dogs running around, you're still going to have the police there anyway.
So right now, if they call police, in order to call police right now, 98% of the calls are 911. So what would happen is dispatch 911 authority would call animal control.
Okay.
Is what they would do instead of calling, because right now, if you call 911, they actually have to then turn around and either call the police or call the code department to get authorization, and then either Director Nelson or somebody in her department or somebody from the police department then has to call back to 911 or call back to animal control and say, we authorize animal control. Now they would call 911, 911 know we'd have a contract, I believe, and they would just call straight to animal control.
And then our officers would determine whether it was something we would come out for after hours.
And most of the time, it's for loose dogs. Now, you're right, if there's an incident where there's a loose dog and all of a sudden you've got a resident that's now angry with somebody or whatever, they might then call for those circumstances for a police backup just to make sure everything goes smooth, but
It would likely be one officer versus the 3 that were there today.
right now, it'd be, they're calling 911 is what they're doing, so.
So,
Alderman Cobbs?
thank you. So, number one, the contract.
Microphone, Alderman, please.
Number one on the contract says, within corporate limits of the city of Kankakee between the hours of 8:30 and 4 p.m. and will respond to emergencies on the weekend, holidays, and after normal business hours.
Correct.
Okay.
And like I said, I can get you the after-hours guidelines for what we will and won't go out for. It's also on a case-by-case basis as well. Just know that any bite to a human from a dog or a cat, we will go out for no matter what it is, and any bat in a residence, in a living quarters, we'll go out for, and you don't get charged for either one of those calls.
Okay. So what about a bat in a school? Would you go for that?
Yes,
Okay,
which we have.
okay, great.
And I just want to note on the contract, it's for stray dogs, sick or injured cats, and public safety wildlife, which is basically what code will authorize generally as it is right now. If it is a healthy cat that is found and brought to an animal hospital, we would still have to go have authorization to pick up that animal.
Okay.
So that's when we still would go through code. That's the only time we would go through code. If it's a raccoon on your property, it's not considered public safety wildlife, we would not go out unless code authorized us to. But if it was a raccoon in the McDonald's parking lot, public safety, we would go out for that.
Okay. Alderwoman Lewis?
I noticed reading through, I didn't see cats mentioned at all. So would that be included? Because as of right now, cats aren't mentioned.
It's for sick or injured cats, we would go out for.
That's what I didn't, unless I overlooked it, I didn't see.
And it may not be on there, it may just be one of those things that we've just always gone out for. I can add it to the contract if you'd like.
I did have one other question on number 9, the chapter 10 of the county code. Do we have that chapter 10 county code that we're supposed to adopt?
It's our Muni code, if you go on Muni code, it's on there, but that just basically gives animal control the chance to write citations in your municipality. We don't have to, but it gives us the option to. So you're adopting our animal control code. However, we suggest that you still write your own village ordinances or municipality ordinances. So again, it can be adjudicated through your court system rather than ours. If it's adjudicated through ours, you guys don't recoup any of those fees. It's done through your way. You guys write your code tickets. You guys can recoup fees that way.
And I think that just answered the question that we keep speaking about, is for us to recoup those, you won't write the tickets. Our code has to write the tickets.
We can.
For us to recoup it.
And our agreement with Bourbonnais is that we don't, just because of that process, that they want to recoup those fees that way. So we can suggest that they write a ticket or say, hey, this, please write those citations based on your code, which your code is meatier than ours and has a lot more stringent fees in there than ours do. So that's something that we would suggest that you should do when there's an owner of an animal, is to write those citations.
Alderman Marzak.
I just, whether we have a contract or not have a contract, we're paying out $20,000 or paying out $35,000, but we're not recouping a dime of that. And to me, there's a problem with that, whether it be on animal control or on us as a city. And if we're going to enter a contract, I would think that we would put something in place where if the owner redeems the animal, some people may not have the means at that time. They might have the means to redeem that animal as far as board and upkeep or whatever, but the actual fine itself, I think, could be deferred as a, payable agreement to pay the $100 fine, at a later date, but I think we should, at least be attempting to make some, collection on that.
And if there's questions and you don't know which Marquise Boyd it is, we would definitely give you the information that we have on that owner. So if you had questions, if you want more information on the owners we have, we would definitely share that with you. We have no problems doing that.
Okay.
I just, I can't see somebody losing their pet because he's in impound and they can come up with the impound fee, but they can't come up with the $100 fee that we're charged. We could defer that, but, at least we'd have an opportunity to, bring them to adjudication court. And obviously that all comes with a cost too, with paper filing, with legal, everything comes at a cost, but I think we got to look at, somehow we got to, look at recouping, that.
And I'm just going to throw a suggestion out there. Maybe the Village of Bourbonnais can tell you how they do their fees and they do their adjudication process. I don't know if it's similar to the way you guys do it, but I know that their adjudication process is pretty quick and they have to pay their fees and fines within so much time, and it doubles, things like that. So it might be worth visiting, their process and see how they do it. Again, I'm not familiar with the city of Kankakee and how they do things. I just know that the Village of Bourbonnais has a very good adjudication process on how they recoup their fees from their village members.
You had mentioned that you knew the owner of one instance there. I mean, I'm just assuming, I haven't looked at each individual case and said, okay, Billy Bob at, 292 South whatever, has had 4 cases where he's, we've been there. It's the same habitual, person. So, if we're running into those situations, maybe that would sort of kind of eliminate it because, it's getting a little bit more expensive each time.
It is, and it gets more expensive for the owners. Each time they're found to not have an animal control license or registration, the fines can double that way too. And our ultimate goal is not to
Right.
have every animal held at animal control. We want to reunite these dogs with their owners. We don't want to hold animals at our facility any longer than they have to.
Right.
And that's why we write citations for failure to pay, because we don't want the animals to be hardship for them. We also have to realize, though, that if they can't pay $40 to get their animal out, what is the expectancy for this animal if they can't afford to feed the animal, or should they use that $40 to feed themselves rather than to concentrate on this animal? And so we have to realize those things too, like I don't have $20 to my name.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have to have them responsible for some portion of it, as you guys do as well, to have these owners be responsible.
Mayor.
Just a couple thoughts on that is, I agree with what you talked about the habitual, like the dog I mentioned about there, we could tell that this dog was, it looked scary, but it was a very friendly dog. Actually, this dog was actually just clamoring for some warmth and heat and some food, and that's why it wouldn't leave me and the other person alone, so we didn't want to leave because we're like, this is probably somebody's pet, and so I look at it, it's kind of like our false alarm calls with the police, is, we're paying this out of the taxpayers' money. We're providing a service for our residents. My dog has gotten loose before. My dog's chipped, my dog's everything, but I remember mowing my lawn one day, somehow the gate was open, and I got a call from the tag, hey, I got your dog down the block. Luckily, it was a neighbor that called versus animal control, but it happens. Our pets do sometimes get out. I look at it like a false alarm on your burglar alarm on your house. If it goes off, the police are going to respond. They do not bill you for responding to protect your house. However, if your alarm goes off once a week, I believe the second call that month, we do charge a fee. So if you continue to be a habitual person, we're going to charge you, and we do that with the commercial. But the initial call is if they show up at your house, that's what we want the police to do. I look at it this way. This is a cost that, we would be paying this fee and part of our budget. If it's the person that, once a year, or, they have a one-time lost their dog or their pet or whatever, it's a service we're providing to residents. If, I don't want to call a name out here, but if Mr. Jones Smith, we've gone 3 times in a calendar year getting their dog, I think we should be going after recouping the fees and saying, hey, we don't, just like a false alarm, if you've got 3 false alarms, we're going to start sending you a bill from the police. Just my 2 cents of how I'd work it. We're providing a service. We're doing 2 things. We're protecting the animals and the pets. We're getting the pets and animals off the street that are maybe causing a problem, that are maybe dangerous. And then we're actually trying to make it as easy for the public as possible. Call 911, they're going to go straight to animal control versus trying to get a police officer, because they could call a police officer after hours, and they could be tied up on calls. They could be on 2 domestics, 1 break-in or whatever, and they're not going to go respond to that dog or call at that time. So it's really just trying to make it simple, because right now the biggest complaint I get is, I called the police, I called 911, they said I got to call code, I've called code, code's got to call back, and like I said, it's now 30 minutes later before we even get to animal control and the dog, they're like, where's the dog? I don't know, it was here 30 minutes ago, it could be 10 blocks away, and they're going to still charge us for coming out.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, Director Nelson?
I just want to comment on, as far as like adjudication and writing tickets. So we, a lot of times, don't recoup the money if we write a ticket. That's one of the reasons we stopped writing tickets to the tenants. Because, for one, it's hard to keep up with the tenants because they move around. And how can you can write them a ticket, but what's the penalty? So they got a ticket. So we started holding the owners responsible, and the owners, there's a lien on your property if you don't pay your ticket. So with dogs, I think it's going to be hard if I understand these dogs are getting loose. So we have a name, and the dog might be chipped. The animal control get a name from the dog, but, okay, the address, they haven't lived there in 5 years. So now the city, have spent money trying to send a ticket to the wrong house because they haven't kept up with the information to animal control in order for us to try to get it back. I just think it's harder to try to get money for now, I don't think they should just skate free every time your dog get loose and everything, but I'm just commenting on it's going to be hard trying to get money from the owners, even if we have an owner. Okay. It's going to be hard to get that money because it's hard to find them. That's the wrong address. They gave the dog to somebody else. It's just going to be hard to get the money from the owner of the pet that they have on record.
Okay, so basically, we're just not writing the tickets anymore. When we get this sheet, these people are just not getting tickets anymore.
We have never written tickets for.
Oh, okay, I thought you said you were doing it.
No, I'm just giving just making a comment on.
Okay.
If the city start writing tickets, it might be a lose situation because we spending money to send tickets out and we don't get any in.
Okay.
And especially if they're not a homeowner to do anything about it.
Yeah, and so it's not a driving violation, so you can't suspend their license for it, well, unless things change, but you can't suspend their license. You can't put a lien on the property because it's probably a tenant, or, it's just, it would be hard to coop money from that right now.
It may be.
If things change, if adjudication change, if stuff change, then maybe, but right now, at today, it would be hard to try to recoup money from some people.
Okay. Thank you for that, Director. Alderman Barron.
I have a few questions. I'm just trying to understand what services are available and under a contract and not under a contract. So with respect to cats, if there is a stray cat, right now, if code called you to go get a stray cat, would you go do that?
If code approves us, we would.
If it was, I mean, it's a healthy cat to the extent that,
Correct.
we would do that. We're not doing that right now.
No.
Under this
Under
contract,
Special circumstances.
if it was feral or,
Someone dropped a cat off at the animal hospital.
okay.
We can't keep it there, so special circumstances for a healthy cat.
And if somebody brings a cat to us, you aren't charged for our services to go out and catch that animal either. You're only charged for board.
Okay.
Or euthanasia, things like that. So if somebody brings a cat to us or a dog to us, you aren't charged $50 or $100. Well, $50 during the day, you aren't charged. $100 after call, you are, because we have to come in and handle that situation. But during the day, you're not charged for our services because we're only providing services for the cat at that point, basically.
Okay. Under the contract, we would not be, one of the services provided is not to pick up stray cats.
Not unless they were sick or injured. Correct.
If code authorized it, would we be able to get that service even under the contract for an additional fee?
If code authorized it for a healthy cat, we would, yes.
Okay. That's for
Right
cats.
now,
What's that?
not under the.
Under the contract, it would be as well. There are way too many cats. It would be burdensome on your contract would be eaten up within the first 2 months, honestly, with the number of cats that are in the city.
Eaten up, what do you mean by eaten up?
If you had a $35,000 contract, the number of cats that are in the city, if we took every cat in that's in the city, there would be no money left for anything else. The number of cats that are in the city that are strays right now it's burdensome to a lot of,
Okay,
the
so this is
area.
what you were talking about with Bourbonnais. For any services provided, you set it against the $35,000 that have
We do.
already been paid. So if we go above $35,000, we're just paying in addition to the
The
30.
way the contract states, we would eat that cost at this time, and we have to reevaluate the contract within 30 days of the contract time that it would be up. We have to reevaluate and let you know the contract fee was going to change. You would have to let us know, or I would have let you know that the contract fee is going to change, depending on what the volume of calls that we handled that year.
Okay, but a request for somebody to pick up a stray cat could be included within the services if authorized by code.
We would bill those differently,
Yep.
but it would be a separate bill. Same thing we do with Bourbonnais. I guess healthy cats would be billed differently, I'm sorry. So that it would not go against the contract. I'm sorry, I did say that, it would not go against the contract. Healthy cats would not, since they're not included in the contract.
It would not go against, but there would be the bill.
You would receive a separate bill that would come to this meeting, yes, for healthy cats.
Second area, bats. Currently, if we got a call that came in through 911, there's a bat in my house, would we as code authorize animal control to come out and take care of it?
There is no reason to authorize that. We will come out, that's part of rabies control, and that's what animal control is designed for. So any part of the county, no matter municipality, contract or not, we would go out for bats in the living quarters.
And are we charged for that?
You are not.
Okay, so that
That's
would,
solely absorbed by animal control, and which is basically the reason animal control is designed for rabies control for bats, raccoons, well, not raccoons, I guess, bats, and then domestic animal bites to humans.
got it, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Cobb's.
So, Mayor or Director, we've averaged $19,000 in fees for stray animals, and we haven't collected a dime because we can't. Is that the correct assumption?
Is the 19 this year that you put together?
Each year, the 2023, I tallied up at 19,668, 2024 at 19,390. And again, the list that we were provided, I took the first item out because that was the prior year, the last item out because that was this year.
I was just, because, and I'm not disputing, I gotta look at that, because on our budget report, we're over 20 already this year. That's why I said, that's why we budgeted, last year we budgeted 23.
Okay.
This year we budgeted 25 because we were over that 23 mark, so we put it up to, but that's
We have a
fine.
couple more
There's
months.
money that transfers then somewhere other than.
Well, we have a couple more months
Other
to
than
go
this.
also.
Yeah, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But your question was what?
We spent this amount of money,
Okay.
19 to 25,000.
Yep,
In fees for animal control,
correct.
of which we hold an ordinance of unleashed dogs being fined, and we haven't collected a dime.
My understanding is the
correct?
city of Kankakee hasn't issued tickets on it, and since you've been here, correct?
No, yeah.
It's another, it's like it's like I talked about the other night, our snow ordinance. We either enforce them, or we should alter them or get rid of them. We could. But I remember talking to code a couple years ago, it was kind of like, they don't want to harm the residents, I had heard from a few people. They don't want the residents to be charged because they feel like it's part of their tax dollars. But we have on the books, we can write tickets if we know who the owner is. So so animal control would give us these 4 names on here, and tickets could be written to those 4 people.
There's no teeth on that to enforce it.
Although there's teeth. We have an ordinance on the books.
Okay, at this point, at this meeting, we really wanted to get the information about the, contract, and we also wanted to hear from the Director of Animal Control. I think we should, as a committee, continue to speak on that if we don't have any other questions, so that we can decide whether or not it's feasible for us to go into this contract compared to what we are already paying Animal Control. So do we have any other questions for Director Laird so that I can, any other questions?
Yes, I just want
Okay.
to know if we could have a copy of the Chapter 10 ordinance and the fee schedule that you charge, for us to use that to be able to have further discussion.
I have a copy here, or I can email it. Who would you like me to email it to? This is the Chapter
To
10. This is,
our code director.
you mean,
Director
okay.
Nelson.
So this is our ordinance fees? Is that what you're asking for, our ordinances? That's our ordinance fees.
Is this the Chapter 10 you talking about we should adopt?
This is just the fees that go along with that. That Chapter 10 is the.
Alderman Cobbs,
Go right to email.
keep those questions. I just want to make sure we get, while we have her here,
Yeah, I
that we
just want
get
to know what's the
Mm-hmm.
everything.
list of the charges, and this is the
Yeah,
list of
that's
the
the list
charges.
of charges, that's just, those are for our ordinances, those for ours. And we could write those, but you would not receive any of these fees. Animal Control in Kankakee County would.
I want to, the rate of how, this is how you,
This is what's charged to the public, not to you. You want to know what charges?
yes, how you
Okay.
determine what our bill is.
Okay, yes, I can send that to.
Awesome.
Okay, so we're good with that? Okay, Alderman Tully?
Just a quick question, and if I may direct it to the mayor. Can we, for our further discussion on this, get information on what the additional funds are above what were reported here in this committee every month? Because clearly
Yeah,
there's
I can.
about a $5,000 difference in there.
Yeah, I'll have to pull up I'll pull the
We also
budget.
have a couple more months. This is February.
No, this has nothing to do with the months, this has to do with
The year.
the year. If we're spending $19,000 per these reports that we get on a monthly basis, and yet our city budget says we're spending over budget at $25,000.
No, we're not over. We're-
Okay.
Yeah, we're low. So I'm looking, last year's fiscal year, if you do May through April, looks like it was $20,415. For some reason, I thought there was 23, so I'll find out what that difference is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there could be some variations between calendar year and fiscal year, based on.
So, because I know we bumped it up like $2,000 over last year because
Okay.
we were right at the, but we'll get that.
Okay.
Yep.
But we as a committee, we do get what we are billed. That's why I continue to, every meeting, I let our committee know that we are looking
Right.
at the county animal control bill.
Right.
That's why I continue each meeting to say that we as a committee need to pay attention to the costs that we are being given here, because this is our cost from May 1st, what is it, May 1st to April 31st or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what we have to be conscious of when we're making decisions, like going into a contract. So That was basically it. And then we have to understand that we already have the cost of our animal control, of our code committee and our police department. We already have incurred that cost.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any other questions for Director Laird? Thank you so much for coming. We
Thank you for having me.
appreciate your input.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm sure we will be continuing to work together, whichever way we do it.
And I'm happy to come back if there are any more questions, or you guys can email me with questions as well, and I'll get this fee schedule sent over to Ms. Nelson, and you guys can pass it on that way.
Do you have her email address, Director Nelson?
I'm going to get it from her again, but I do believe I have it, just to be
Okay.
sure.
All right, good. Thank you. Mayor, did you have anything else you wanted from Director Laird?
Nope.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Now, Alderman Cobbs. I'm sorry.
Sure. I was just posing the same question, is that we're paying 20,000.
Put your mic down.
Sorry. 20,000 roundabout every year, and we're not getting anything back. And according to the director, it's not feasible, quote unquote, if I can say that, to ticket them because we can't find them. Is that correct?
I'm not saying it's not feasible. What I'm saying is, we can spend, if we ticket 5 people, we might get money from 1 person. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not feasible, and, people might, but how can we can write them a ticket, but like I said, you can't suspend their license to give them an incentive to pay this fee. You can't put a lien on the house as an incentive to pay this fee. What can you do to them to force them to pay the fee? It's all I'm saying. Some people might want their dog back and come and pay the fee. Yeah, some people might. But for, like, on here, they knew who the person was. Okay, the address they have is one address. But we go to send the ticket to them, well, they moved from there 5 years ago. The dog got out because he gave it to the neighbor next door. And so we have him as being the owner, but he actually don't own it anymore, because they don't keep up with, their tags and everything. Everybody are not like that. But I'm just saying, to be able to charge and collect fees might be a challenge.
And that's good that she is just letting us know what a challenge may be.
Yeah.
That's not saying that the city cannot require our employees to do the job that we ask them to do. That's not what she's saying. She's just giving us the challenges of Alderman Cobbs. We as a committee decide what things that we feel are our fiduciary duties for our citizens. So even like the mayor said, we don't want to, put an extra burden on our citizens by charging this fee. So that's one way of it. And then it's another group that says, well, if we're paying $19,000, we should try to recoup the fee. So that's where we as the leaders in the city have to make a decision of how we move forward on that. So just getting all the facts is important. One other thing, so when someone comes and picks up a dog, do they have to give you their address and everything?
We take a copy of their license,
Thank you, okay.
and if we do, it's not always 100%, but we do ask where the animal's going back to, and if they're moving, if they have second address, we do try that. And we do have second addresses in the system. So if there's other time you have questions, we are more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Alderman Martin.
But at the time that individual picks that, redeems the animal, they could be issued, the fine at that point and a ticket, could they not?
I'm sorry, say that again?
At the time, if my dog got out and you had him, you picked him up, the time I go to your office and pay whatever, if it was there for 2 days, you give me a bill for X number of dollars, and you say, by the way, because your dog was on the loose, you violated the city of Kankakee's ordinance, blah, 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 here's your ticket, you need to go take care of that.
We can't write cities' tickets, we'd have to write our tickets. But if there was a ticket written by the city code, if we knew the owner ahead of time, we could certainly hand it to them.
So at the time, they would need the ticket from code to present, for you to present them, time to redeem it.
Right, and we could give tickets as well, but it's not helping you guys at all. It's helping us.
So,
But, I mean, I understand that you guys are collecting your fee, but once again, if we collected 50% of, of the people, that would, that goes a long way. So,
What she's saying is county can't write a municipal ticket.
I understand that, but, she's saying if code had a ticket issued, so somehow along the way, that would need to be figured out, but, it's no different than, let's go ahead and, the drinking on public property ordinance, I hear, well, they're not going to pay the ticket anyway, so we're not going to write it. Then, like you say, if we're not going to enforce that, then we need to get rid of that ordinance because it's totally useless. So,
Okay, can I, Mayor, Chair?
Alderman?
Okay. I understand what you're saying first. So how about when a dog is picked up or an animal is picked up, code is notified that the animal is picked up, that gives the code officer the opportunity to have that ticket prepared so that if someone comes to claim the animal, we have the city's code ticket available for them to be issued when they pay for the boarding cost to get there, to retrieve.
We can certainly attempt to do that for you, yeah. If there's an animal owner that comes in and they say that, Snoopy is my pet, we'll say, okay, well, we'll write this information down, Snoopy belongs to this person, or it's microchipped to this person. We can certainly let code know, and if code wanted to bring the tickets to us, or if you knew ahead of time, that you could certainly mail those tickets.
Email.
Yeah. Okay, then that, and we do get, if an animal's microchipped, we do request email as well. It's not always given to us, but we do request email from them as well.
That's just a suggestion to go along with what you're saying, because I do agree. Once the animal is picked up, that's another thing to add to what you were saying. There's no incentive. They have their animal. There's no incentive for them to pay the ticket for the pickup fee because they already have the dog.
Right. Alderwoman?
Alderman Tully?
I completely get it that the county cannot write city tickets, but you already know what you're going to charge the city. Right. And you have a list of what you're going to charge the homeowner when they come in. Can it not just be a fee line on there on what you're charging the homeowner?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I'd have to ask our attorneys that question.
Yeah.
To see if that's something that we could add to that. I don't know how it would work, but I could definitely ask that question to our state's attorney.
Because it seems like any other method that we have to try and recoup some of this money, as opposed to just being taxpayer money providing a service for the citizens, it's going to cost us money to collect money. It's going to cost us money for code to write tickets on animals, which they already know that only 50% or less is probably going to pay. And if it goes to adjudication, it's costing us money to go to adjudication.
So you're suggesting something along the lines of municipality fee, and we charge them $25, and then that fee goes to you guys?
Yeah.
Or eats away the credit or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, I can suggest that. I'll bring it to our state's attorney.
I'm seeing here, you're going to assess us $30 for this one thing, and then you're going to hold that dog until the owner comes. And so one little extra line item on there, not a ticket, here's a fee.
May I ask what fee you would like me to suggest to them? Just because I'd just like to,
I'm just throwing it out there. I
Okay.
don't have that answer,
Sure.
but, a municipal fee.
Okay.
For the sake of whatever municipality is.
I think that's a great idea, and I will ask if it's something we can add to we'd have to add it to our code, and it'd be adopted, and it would take a bit of a process, but I could definitely see what we could do.
It seems like something we could work on together, and
I agree.
and maybe
I think so.
some of
I
the other
think we-
towns might benefit from it too.
I think we're working on something now.
And one more thing maybe you should take to
On the mic,
also
on the
the
mic.
fact, if you do have on, they don't
Alderwoman
have
Lewis.
a right to relinquish.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Like the example that we used, that the gentleman relinquished the dog, so when he relinquished the animal, the pickup fee got relinquished also. so to speak, because we got the charge? Is that something that they should, even though he relinquished the dog, you still got this bill? Because we still had
You, the municipality or the owner?
the owner.
So you're asking to dismiss that if they surrender the animal?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying that we have an owner that's identified that this is animal and that we shouldn't be charged because there is an owner that can be charged. If they relinquish it, that charge comes to the city instead of that burden still being on that owner. When it's known, identified owner. I understand the unknown owners the city got, but when we have owners that are identified and they come and say, keep it, you're still responsible for that fee.
The owners are responsible for that fee? Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry.
Yes, because it's their dog.
Yes.
The dog was loose, got picked up, the city got charged $100 for picking up that dog. They go and they say, well, I don't want the dog anymore. That should not relinquish the responsibility of that $100 fee because we know who they are and you still go through your same ticket purpose.
Correct.
Of charging them for that fee.
We could still give them fees and fines or do a failure to pay citation. Anytime an animal comes into our facility, there is a fee or fine assessed to the owner of the animal that reclaimed.
You have the counties and then the cities.
The county's fees are assessed.
The county.
So what about the cities? That's what I'm saying.
We pay for it. It gets put on our bill.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
We pay.
You weren't charged the owner surrender, you were only charged the after-hours call. That's just to let us know the animal.
That we know the owner.
Correct.
If there is an owner.
Correct.
We're charged even if there is an owner?
That's because we came out after hours to pick up that animal. So you were charged for our officer to come out after hours and pick up an animal. And then ultimately, the owner surrendered that animal. So you were charged for our services to come out and pick up the animal and bring it to our facility. That's what the after-hours call is. Even if it was during business hours, it would be $50 for us to come out and pick up an animal and bring it back to the building.
So if it had been not after hours, it would have been $50.
Correct. Yes, owner or not, they're still charged the same way, $50 or $100.
Okay.
Alderman Cobb?
I got a
And then you,
contract.
Director Nelson. Alderman Cobbs?
I just got another contract question. Is there any so you're the county animal control, so reading line 1 of the contract, is the two between the county of Kankakee and the city of Kankakee, to put it shortly. Just reading the first line of the contract.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So is there a county fee when you do this?
Do we charge the county?
Yeah.
No,
You
there is
charge the
not.
owner?
No.
Okay.
I mean, there are fees and fines that are charged to owners, such as an impound fee, boarding, and things like that, and microchipping and things like that, that are county code ordinances that we have to abide by, and we have to follow those. So there are county fees, I guess you could state, that we recoup those fees.
But you're a county department, right?
We are a county
You're
department.
county department, just like the city has their departments. You're a county department, so
And-
that's
and-
why you don't have.
And animal control does not receive tax dollars from the county. We are self-funded, and we're funded by rabies registration.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Director Nelson?
I want to make another comment as far as when writing tickets and having animal control call code. I don't know how that would work because we are usually out of the office most of the day. So if they call at 8:30 in the morning, the inspector had already went out and might not come, they'll come in right before lunch, don't check the messages until 3 o'clock that afternoon when they call, because we wouldn't know if we under a contract, they will automatically go out and get the dog. We wouldn't know until we get a statement that month. They already out there. So if they call us when they they pick up a dog and say, hey, code, you can write a ticket for this dog. Well, if we don't get it until that after, 3 o'clock, trying to write a ticket to rush it over there where the owner then already came at 2 o'clock and picked up the dog.
And that's
So
fine.
it just won't be, it might not work for code, trying to hurry up and write a ticket to give the animal control.
That's correct.
To give it to the owner when they come in to get the dog.
That's
That just might not work.
Makes sense.
Well,
Go ahead, Alderman.
so to do business in the city of Kankakee, you have to follow the ordinances, right? And hey, look, so if you break an ordinance, it's a penalty. To not have a leash, to not have your dog leashed is a penalty. So why can't the county, within the agreement, add that line item to part of their collection? Somebody broke the law within the city of Kankakee. So if a county, and hey, look, maybe I'm stretching it here, if a county police picks up somebody within the city of Kankakee, do they not let them go, do they let them go because they're county police? You know, I mean.
Two different authorities.
What I'm saying is that if somebody breaks, why can't the county enforce the ordinance? Help me out here.
Well, they are enforcing it.
Well, the ordinance
county
the ordinance has a fine to
They
it.
can't write the ticket.
They can enforce the county, they can't enforce the city.
So we
I
can't,
don't understand that.
Like a collection services, you know how on your bill you can have something and collect it on behalf of the collection service?
Yeah, and she said she
Whatever.
will talk to
Yeah,
her people
yeah.
to see if there could be a line item where the city will have some type of line item, but that's something that they would even have to change their ordinances and everything to do. So that is a new thing that we just came out of this meeting tonight, that could possibly be a way of us recouping some money, which would be like a general amount for each person, instead of breaking it down like this, where we would not recoup anything. So that's an idea. So Alderman Barron?
well, just going off of that, I mean, don't we have the ability to deputize whomever we want by intergovernmental agreement, if that's part of our agreement?
That's what I said, can it be an agreement?
Yeah, I mean, then, and also in paragraph 10, it says the county animal control department shall have the option to write both county code and municipal ordinance violations where appropriate. I think we're doing that. We're giving that authority under this language.
Okay. On number 10?
Yes.
Now, it'd be prosecuted through the state's attorney's office, so I can't say that the fine would go back to us, so that might not work based on this language, but it does seem we're giving the ability to enforce our ordinances.
I do believe that the way it was written was that it would help animal control in the sense that we would write your code, but I think it'd still be adjudicated through our process. As I do believe that's the way that it was set up to be.
Well, can that be changed to where if you write one for the city, it would be adjudicated for, the way it normally is for ours, and for the county, it would go through your normal process?
I can't say no on that. I know it'd be a whole learning curve for our officers to adopt a whole other set of ordinances, but I can't say that they could or couldn't. Again, I'd have to bring it to our state's attorney's office to see how the contract would read and what the differences would be on that, if they were even able to write the contract, or the code, your code in the city, since they're not city employees.
Alderman Tully?
Are the majority of the calls to our city police officers kind of roll on the scene anyway?
Not
I have
always.
a reason for asking that question. I mean, is it 50% of the time, 75, or 10% of the time someone drives through the neighborhood because of the call that came through 911?
Currently, we only are called when we are authorized to come into the municipality.
Well, that's where I'm coming to. It also seems like the authorization is awfully cumbersome on the front end of that. And it kind of alludes back to what Alderman Barron was saying about deputizing, and I'm not advocating that, but if the police department is somewhere in the neighborhood, or even the shift commander is nearby, perhaps the shift commander on duty at any given time of the day or night could be the one that gets the call from 911 to authorize yea or nay. And it would be a little more informed if they're already rolling on the scene or nearby.
And we've often suggested as well to write citations to those owners when we return the owner right there on scene. Some officers do write citations,
Yeah.
city code ordinances on scene for running at large or things like that. When they're with us and they return the animal to that residence, the owner comes out, they get the information as well, and they have written citations when they're on scene. I can't say they will always be on scene, because of their job is,
They have other duties.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So there are times when we have suggested, we can't tell them to, but we suggested like, hey, this is the fourth time we've had this dog. You might want to write a ticket to this person
Right.
or so-and-so.
Yeah, I see a lot of burden on our already maybe overtaxed city employees, just trying to take care of a stray dog.
And I don't disagree with that, and I will say, any officer we've had in contact with, they don't like handling dog calls. It's not their
Well, I
forte,
wouldn't
they
either.
leave that up to us, and we do handle them. And the scene I was on today, they didn't get out of the squad cars because it's not
Yeah.
frankly, not their job to police the animals, like, that's our job, that's what we were called to do, and that's what we did today. We do, actually, one of them got out, we do appreciate their assistance, and they did help us, but if something were to go awry, they were definitely there for, to assist us, and we do appreciate when they do stand by, but we don't always request it, or nor do we always need it, but it's always appreciated when they are there to assist.
And again, I'm not asking for our police department to roll on every call, but just streamline from the 911 call, I got a stray dog over here, to how you actually get the authorization to go. And as Director also tells us, if the call comes into the code office and there's nobody sitting there to answer the phone, or the individual inspectors out on the road, you've lost all kinds of time in resolving an issue.
And the only time that, we kind of have a verbal agreement with Bourbonnais and Mantino that they will handle their own welfare checks. If you want us to handle our welfare checks for every call, we can certainly do that. They just want to handle them because it saves fees on them, and if they determine that animal control again is needed, we would go out for that call. If they determine the welfare check is unfounded, there's no reason for us to go out there. Or if there's police that can check that residence, then certainly, by all means, check the residence, and if you don't need us, then there's no reason to utilize our services if you don't need us out there. But we could always do welfare checks. As of right now, the contract states for welfare checks, we would always go out unless you want to verbally agree, or I could put in a writing that you handle your own welfare checks, and then we follow up with those as needed.
That was my 2 cents. I'm done.
All right, that's what the committee meeting is for. Okay, so, with no further ado, we are going to, keep this on old business for our next meeting, and we will continue our discussion. Okay. Moving on to new business, general discussion. Director Nelson, did you have anything that you wanted to share with us going on at the code? How are we with our vacancies and?
Actually, next week I have probably 8 interviews. So hopefully, I'm hoping that I can get at least 2 people out of those 8. That's next week.
Okay. And we are good with the new computer system that we're going to be?
Yeah, yep. Really excited, ready for it.
Very excited. Okay.
Ready for it.
Any ward discussions that you want to share with the director?
Just say Officer Wynn, he's been doing a good job, around the city, as far as, cars and, abandoned cars, and I got a couple situations that, he's taking care of over there, so,
What does that have to do with code?
just, still a code issue.
I think it only probably has to do with code when Officer Wynn goes in people's yard. That's probably what it is, but we'll leave that where it's at. Any other discussion?
Well, I am going to say that the new software, I'm pretty excited about it. I think it really puts us in a better situation as a city. I think it's going to save us a lot of money in the long run, and a lot of shoe leather as well. So, as you said the other night, Mayor, it's going to be bumpy as any technology is to come in, but I'm pretty excited about that. When technology is good as long as it works well. But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to, I like shopping from home, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time coming. How long have we been trying to get something
for years.
together? Almost 7 years?
For years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time
Yep.
coming. So, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing that through, and we are looking forward to that computer system that brings Kankakee all together. So, any alderman questions or concerns? We don't have a need for an executive session. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Chair.
We have a motion to adjourn
I'll second that.
and a second. Cobb's and Tully. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming out.